Yes, now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of day, that time of week again. Time to talk about NXT. And this was an exciting one. We just came off the back of a monumental Monday Night Raw. And this episode of NXT was week 1 of NXT Gold Rush, which essentially just means all the titles are on the line for the next 2 weeks, which is great. And the first thing we had kicking off the show was Ethan Page. That's his permanent name now. Santino Marella said it himself. The NXT North American champion, defending his AAA mixed tag team titles with the Women's United States champion Chelsea Green. I mean, they just rule all of North America right now. I mean, you've got Mexican mixed tag titles. Ethan has the title that rules all of North America, or even though he's themed it Canadian. And Chelsea Green has the title that rules the US. And their challengers were the newly found team of Joe Hendry and Thea Hale. We believe in Thea Hale. We believe in Joe Hendry. And I did not believe that they were going to win this match. And I didn't want them to anyways. Because Chelsea Green and Ethan Page are doing great work. And I'm glad they won. Nice match to open up the show. Get the crowd pumping. Chelsea, Ethan are perfect people to get the crowd going. And obviously Joe Hendry's theme is a good way to kick off, for the meme culture, for the lore. Right. And Ethan Page, Chelsea Green got the win, which I'm pretty hyped about. Pretty ecstatic about that one. Because I wouldn't, if Joe Hendry and Thea Hale took the belts from them already, that would have been a waste of a title reign, and it would have been just the wrong decision, essentially. We had Sol Ruka coming back from injury to go after the Women's North American title. Now, what I don't get is if Gold Rush is 2 weeks, why didn't they put this match on next week so they could sell the injury even more, and Ava could put this match back to say, look, you're injured, we'll put this back next week. And then Zarya could have had a speed match this week, but Zarya's having a speed match next week. And so Ruka put on a good showing against Blake Monroe, and then we know Blake Monroe was taking a deal with the devil is what they're calling it, but it was a deal with her devilish self. It was like the devil on her shoulder, essentially, which kind of just means she's going to resort to bad tactics and cheating ways to kind of get around in NXT. And she was going after the knee of Sol Ruka, which any veteran wrestler would do. And she had her in the submission right on that knee, that bad knee. And Zarya threw in the towel. Sol Ruka told her not to. The crowd told her not to. She still did it. She threw in the towel. Now, this obviously means Blake Monroe is still now officially the legit NXT North American Women's Champion. Congratulations, Blake Monroe. We know she's going to cook as a champion. Later on, Zarya claimed, look, you're just saying you didn't want to tap because you're pride, but I wasn't going to sit there and watch Blake Monroe snap your knee. And then she went on to say, look, it's fine, I'm going to win the speed title next week. Or you could look at this as Sol Ruka's always been the successful one. Zarya is mad at herself for failing to defend Sol Ruka's titles and messing things up for Sol Ruka. That she thinks, oh, hang on, I'm going to sabotage Sol Ruka, I'm going to be the successful one, and then they'll have nothing to say about me. That's potentially where this is going, because we've seen this storyline brewing for a while now. It's that Zarya, Sol Ruka are going to have a falling out and have a big match. And I'm here for it. I was hoping it was going to be for the North American title, but I'm guessing it's not going to be now. But maybe some point in the future, Sol Ruka might win back that title, and then Zarya will be the first contender. But this is all just to put Zarya over, essentially, to make her bigger. Sol Ruka is already talented enough in the ring for us to recognise that she's a future world champion here in WWE. She don't need that push. Zarya does need that push. We had the NXT Tag Team Champions Dark State defend against the team of Javon Evans and Leon Slater. Now, bearing in mind, Javon Evans coming off the back of his biggest match in his career, last time is now tournament, against the returning Gunther in New York, Madison Square Garden. Not the small arena that we're in on NXT, but the big arena. One of the biggest matches in his life, so he's got some high momentum. And then you've got Leon Slater, TNA X Division champion. These two massively high-flying young rookies who together have chemistry and put on a show every night they are there. And Dark State, who won the tag titles, have been dominant since they came in NXT, but then had to lose them to Hardy Boys, but won them back really quickly. And if they lost them here, because this is a team I could see them losing the titles to far in the future if this was the end of their title reign. If they'd held those titles for 6 months, I'd say Leon and Javon are winning. But they haven't. And they could not treat Dark State, especially with how they've introduced themselves in NXT, they could not treat Dark State with 2 very short title reigns. It just couldn't happen. So it was written in the stars, Dark State had to win, and I'm happy about it because I want Dark State to have a dominant reign. I want them to be a dominant faction like they should be. And I want them to start treating Saquon Sugar as like the leader again. They don't treat him like the leader. I feel like Dion Lennox is now the main guy in Dark State, but it needs to be Saquon Sugar. Needs to be saying, why can't I talk? It needs to be Saquon Sugars. He needs to go after. That's why it was a tongue twister. He needs to go after the NXT title, in my opinion, and then Cutler James having that. I don't know if he's good enough for the North American title. Maybe the Speed title. That would be a match. Him and Jasper Troy. Anyways, great match. Dark State retained though, as they should have. I think no other way about it. Let's talk the NXT title. I mean, we know Obafemi returned last week after Ricky Saints retained against Trick Williams in a last man standing. So, as Obafemi came out to cut his promo, Ricky Saints came out, Obafemi interrupted him. They were about to cut a promo, out came Ricky Saints. He's not done with it. Out came Miles Bourne. He doesn't like Trick Williams, and he wants a shot at the title. He thinks he deserves it. He broke out the NQCC. He challenged Obafemi. Now it's Ricky Saints, and he feels he deserves a shot. So, we don't know if we got anything from this, but Ava did set Miles Bourne up with a match against Trick Williams next week at Gold Rush, which is fair enough. And can't remember at what point, but Tavion Heights was doing an advert interview, and then he got attacked by Josh Briggs, and we're probably going to get that match at some point down the line. Because as we know, Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights fought for the right to fight Josh Briggs. Miles Bourne won. The match never happened. And then Miles Bourne's feuding with Trick Williams. Tavion Heights had the match with Josh Briggs. And now they're fighting again. So yeah, maybe again, I got that wrong. Maybe Miles Bourne beat Tavion Heights for the right to fight Trick Williams. But Lord knows. God knows. Anyways, those are some little feuds. And before I get into the main event, Ava announced that obviously a deadline to have that big 25-minute multi-man match. I forget what you call it now. It's a great concept. I've never really watched it because I was out of NXT for a couple of years, and since I've come back in NXT, it was the start of this year, so I don't know what you call it. And normally, they have multiple veteran superstars deciding who the 25 opponents will be for both the men's and the women's match. But she said this year it will be one man. That man will be the greatest of all time, John Cena, which is mental because that means he's showing up on NXT next week, when he's supposed to only have 2 dates left, unless he does it by video package, which would be kind of sad. But that means we're getting John Cena in NXT next week. That's technically, that's more dates than he's promised us. Is that not great? That's great, Howie. You have to admit, that's fantastic. And obviously, this is the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The crowd, that was the loudest the crowd was all night when they heard that announcement. That is great. Can't wait for that. And John Cena essentially said that, he wants to leave the place better than he found it. He wants to pave the way for the future. And that was, he's already said that with Saturday Night's main event, making it NXT versus the main roster. And now he's coming to NXT to choose who's going to be fighting at Deadline. It's pretty interesting for John Cena, isn't it? Yes, it is. Now the main event, TATUM PAXLEY doing one of these impromptu rematches with JC Jane. Very quick to give her a rematch. Izzy Damon calling her like, slow your roll, you're messing this up. And this was a fantastic match. And obviously we've had Fatal Influence try and get involved and help JC Jane, but that's been counteracted with the Culling getting involved trying to help TATUM PAXLEY. But it was at the end when Lainey Reed went, grabbed the title. She got absolutely clobbered by Izzy Damon. What I like about Izzy Damon is she does not go soft. And that's good. That's what I want. I want some realism. Even if you don't exactly hit them, make it look like you hit them. And I don't know if Lainey Reed's timing just wasn't on or Izzy Dame's timing wasn't right. There's no way Lainey Reed didn't leave there with a headache. No way. She absolutely got clotted. Anyway, Izzy Dame sends the title in the ring. Lands exactly in line for TATUM PAXLEY. I mean, Izzy Dame is just showing some very impressive things here. Then there was a battle over the title. TATUM PAXLEY fell out the ring when the ref was trying to get the title off of JC Jane. And then Sean Spears and Nico Vance step in front of TATUM PAXLEY, not letting her back in the ring. And we're like, what's this about? Here comes Izzy Dame. Big boot turns on TATUM PAXLEY. Why? Lord knows, right? Obviously, we know why. And it's because Izzy Dame's jealous. She doesn't want TATUM PAXLEY winning that title. She thought she was the one to win the title. She brought in TATUM PAXLEY to make her and Culling more powerful. And if anything, she's just made Tatum Paxley more powerful. We can tell she's been jealous. We can tell the Culling haven't liked that decision making, and have decided to cut her off, I guess. Unless this is their way of teaching her a lesson. But Izzy Dame, big boot her in the face, chucked her in the ring, cost her the match. Jacy Jane is 2-time NXT Women's Champion, joining Charlotte Flair, joining Shayna Baszler, and joining Roxanne Perez. Jacy Jane is now one of the GOAT of the NXT Women's Division. And when we look at 6 months ago, Jacy Jane was just a tag team wrestler. And then she beat Stephanie Vaquer out of nowhere, had an amazing NXT title run, and now she's 2-time champ. WWE see something in Jacy Jane, and honestly, I don't know how they didn't see it sooner, because since she's been NXT champion, she's been one of the best women in the division, genuinely, like in ring and on the mic. So, promising future for her as well. Sad for Tatum Paxley that she's only had a 2-week reign, but we've got an interesting storyline to go off with now, so I'm excited to see where this goes. That was a great episode of NXT, obviously, because it was Gold Rush. It's like a mini PLE. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, subscribe. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.